back with another video, and this time I thought we can do another review. More specifically, after about a year I thought it would be a good time to have another look at the Sparring glove, Infinity glove. Now before we get to the actual video, general structure will be the same, i.e. I will have my say about how I think about the product now. Then at the end you won't find the stats. If you want to have those, just go back to the original video. I'll put down a link in the description just as I put timestamps. There will be photos though at the end, just so you can, see how they look now, basically, after using them a bit. And then there'll also be a small clip. Generally, if you want to see them in motion though, just look at any of the sparring clips where you can see us wearing heavier gloves. Then I will be wearing those. So, to the actual meat, as I said, about a year that I've been using them. Because of the current situation still, I haven't been using them in any kind of tournament or anything, but I have been using them in my own club quite regularly and for some rather heavy use cases, I would say. My initial impression about the gloves, again, if you want the full one, go back to the original video, but if I were to just roughly summarize it, I would say that I liked them for what they were. I did definitely see what I could use them for, but I had some concerns when it came for using them for what I do primarily, and that is one-handed fencing, langes Messer, things like that. I don't really do longsword. And the concerns I had regarding that mostly came down to bulk, because they do add a good amount of bulk to your hand, naturally, just. And the other one was just mobility, really. Especially in the wrist, because for what I do, that is actually really important. I come from a saber background, Hatten more precisely, and that is nearly exclusively fencing from the wrist, or at least putting as much focus on the wrist as possible. And as that is the first system that I have learned, that kind of translates to everything I do, really. And as I said in the original video, when you have something like longsword or anything, then you do have the advantage of just being able to basically go and compensate for mobility in one hand by just helping out with the other, really, which is just something you can't do if you only have one hand, of course. Now, about those 2 points. Bulk, of course, is something that won't change. These just stay the same, really. So it's still a case of, if you have a very limited space situation, just be it because you have a basket or something, or a knuckle bow that is a bit on the tighter end, this will probably be a problem. When it comes to mobility, I would say that after they have been thoroughly broken in now, though, the situation is definitely better. There is more mobility when it comes to just moving the wrist around, even if I'm actually wearing my padding, which just makes the cuff a bit stiffer. It just holds it in place. But still, I would say that definitely has gotten better. There is a flip side to that, though. Everything basically has gotten a bit more loose about these plates here as they move about, which means that one thing I definitely didn't like about the gloves also has gotten worse, and that is that these plates, because they are now looser than they were before, have an even higher tendency to catch on things. To illustrate, now my trusty old Gottfried has a rather thin nagel, but still, basically what happens is just this one, if you grip a bit close to the cross, or if you move about, it can just happen that it gets stuck. And that's incredibly annoying, because it, your hand is stuck. And one of the things that I find incredibly important about fencing with the Langmesser is that you need to be able to switch grips, which of course, if the Nagel is stuck here, you can't. If you look at the sparring videos that we've posted, the ones where we do Langmesser or something, you will actually see me like every second engagement or something, I will grip the blade and just kind of free my hand and grip again. I've kind of gotten in the habit of just doing that. Or I'm just outright using the Black Fencer Messer, the customized one, that I also have a review of, that doesn't have a Nagel, which one could argue defies the purpose of actually fencing with a Langmesser in a way, but for this glove, it's kind of handy. Now, it is worst with a thin Nagel like that, but even if you have like a ring here, if you grip close to the grip, that can still happen. Depending on what you do, it's just, I have had that catch here on the ring when fencing with one of my longswords that have a ring, actually, because I move my hands about. It's never so bad that it completely spoils the mood. As I said, I've kind of gotten in the habit of just grabbing the blade, adjusting the grip of my dominant hand, and then just, you know, good to go again. But it is definitely noticeable. Another thing that has developed over time is that I feel like basically the gloves are riveted to or screwed with these screws here to the outer shell. There's a padding layer in between, but it is more or less pretty much directly just through the glove and indent. I feel that they have gotten a bit looser, that the fingers are a bit more away from the blades just by, you know, gripping and sometimes stretching the glove. Nothing that is really a problem when it comes to gripping something, because then basically the edges of the blades of the shell around your finger just connect to the grip and are grounded and you're good. But again, something that I noticed. And what also has come up is that there is actually a hotspot that I noticed with these gloves pretty much here at the pinky, at that edge of that finger, where I was never really able to reproduce it when not fencing, but what seems to happen is that that finger twists to the outside a bit, and that edge digs into the finger a bit. It's a bit hard to see. Maybe you can see it, or maybe I'll just post a picture, but you can actually see it on the finger. Uncomfortable, not so bad that I wouldn't wear those, but noticeable. Still, as I said, I have been using those regularly, and overall I am glad I have them, because there are definitely things where I wouldn't use my lighter gloves, like the Red Dragons or my motorcycle gloves. For example, something like messer fencing with steel, where you just want to be a bit less defensive, where maybe I want to experiment a bit more, then sometimes I wear these just so I don't have to worry about my hands as much. Generally, I still prefer my motorcycle gloves just because they allow for more mobility in the hand, and again, personally I find that incredibly important. Something where I definitely wouldn't use anything else is things like the video we did about the Glasgow play number 5 with the gewappnete Hand, i.e. strong cut from above, and you grip the blade with both hands and parry the cut from above, and then just twist the blade into your opponent's face, breast, whatever basically connects first. If you want more details on that, check out the video on that in the Glasgow section of our channel. But just practicing it like that, fine without gloves, fine with motorcycle gloves, but really pressure testing it, really going at it, really going against a longsword that really tries to power through, definitely a place where I appreciated having those. Wouldn't have done it in the same way with any other sort of glove. So for that, I am definitely glad I got them. One side note, so TLDR, generally still quite happy I got them, still using them, still definitely see a place. All the problems that I have with them, everything getting a bit looser, the hotspot that I got. Noticeable, uncomfortable, a bit annoying, but not so bad that I were to think I definitely need something else, something new. Especially with just the things I see on the market. Like, I'm interested in the THOG, but who knows when I'll actually get to have a hand on those. So now, one side note, and I wanted to mention that after the kind of like overall conclusion. You probably noticed the red tape here, and that is actually because the cap of that thumb got torn out. Didn't want to mention that in the main part of this video, mainly just because it's nothing I hold against the glove, because what happened here is that I was fencing using the Hungarian shield with a messer against my partner, Holger in that case, who was using a longsword, and it kind of happened that I think I was standing in a high guard and I wanted to engage. Holger came at me, thrusted, and somehow the thrust connected with the inside of the glove, which was a bit uncomfortable, but you know, things happen. But then the point slid up and connected to the inside of the thumb and just tore that one clean out. Now that's nothing I hold against these gloves really, because I don't think they were really meant to, you know, withstand that kind of force. What I did in the end is I taped it, obviously, and I used some super glue. I'll have to see how that fares. I think it will be fine for the most part. That is just something that happened in the end. Of course, none of these pieces of equipment are meant to last forever, and that was really just kind of a very specific case. That was a bit unlucky, but hey, c'est la vie. So yeah, that's that. I would still recommend those. I would, at the moment, probably still buy them again, because I do definitely use them. I do see a place in my fencing. Not my main glove, but I'm happy I have them. So, still good. Cheers.
Schön, Holger. Richtig schön. Da ist irgendein Stück Plastik oder so runtergefallen.